Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today, I want to do a movie review, which is something that I actually haven't done in a very long time. I couldn't even tell you the last movie review, but I've done. I know I liked doing them a long time ago. And a funny thing, too, I came across a video. It was like a memory, Facebook memory. I posted, I think, the 10th episode of the podcast online. 2000 and... I don't even know what year it was. Was it 2007? 2018? Not 2007. I haven't been doing it since 2007. But it was wild to go back and to look at that. And to just see it and think to yourself, holy jelly juniper. I have come such a long way. I've looked at this and I think to myself, it's funny to watch this. I was so anti-video back then just because it was way too much to figure out at first. And before I get into this podcast, I'm going to say this to you guys right now. To anyone who's looking at or thinking about starting or launching a podcast, it's confusing because there's so much that goes on. To anyone who's thinking about launching anything, it gets confusing because there's so much that goes into it. But remember, you only really have to pay attention to one or two key things. And then you get more and more comfortable with those things. And then you move into bigger and better things. Now, we were going to move into video, but we didn't. The audio was good. Life gets in the way. I know video would create so much more, but I got to be honest when I say, like, I'm kind of, how do I put this? Like, as quote unquote an influencer or whatever, somebody who's been speaking, I'm so over the idea of influencers. I do not like all of these random people with all of these opinions saying all of these things that come across as fact. I don't live in fact, and I don't want you to listen to me for answers. The best thing that I'm good at right now for most people and for most situations is soundboarding, thinking outside the box, getting creative on how things are done, because there is no one answer. And every time you think about locking yourself into an answer, you're eliminating other possibilities. And the funny thing about that too is no matter what it is that you think that you're going to do or how you're going to go about it or what you're going to create, there's always somebody out there that's willing to step on it. So if you make it public, if you do something that's like, I'm going to create this, I'm going to put it out there, and the public can comment on it, I guarantee you John Q is going to run their mouths. And what I mean by this is people are afraid to do anything because they're afraid of criticism. They're afraid of being mocked, ridiculed, whatever it is. They don't think that they're good enough. Why would anybody listen to me? Imposter syndrome, all of this stuff is part of creating. The further into this creation realm that we stand and that I step, the more I realize that every single person out there that runs their mouths or has something stupid to say isn't somebody that deserves your time, unless you choose to give it to them. There's nobody above you that can drag you down. And again, the implication of above, below, etc. It's, for me, it's not about anything other than vibrational frequency. I will connect with those who are on the same page as me. And those who are not on the same page as me don't understand me. And they're going to take their lack of understanding and they're going to either ask questions, get answers, and elevate their game, or they're going to ask questions and demonstrate to me something that I may not have thought about. Or they're going to run their mouths and they're going to be an ignorant little piece of shit. And there was a time in my life where I'm like, hey man, I'm kind of a life coach. Maybe I shouldn't say an ignorant piece of shit. But the bottom line is, not everybody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's anything other than exactly what they are. So it's up to you to connect with who and what you are where you want to go, the things that you want to experience, and then understand along the way in what you're doing. There are a lot of people out there that want to pull on your coattails, that want to take your whatever it is, your achievements, and put their stamp on it, state their claim. If they can't do it themselves, they'll try to, quote unquote, get whatever energy they can by running their mouths, by being ignorant, by being arrogant. And I remember I thought I was being funny when I was sarcastic back in the day. And sarcasm's taken a turn too. Sarcasm isn't what it used to be. Sarcasm is right now just, a lot of it is just evil, dark, self-hate, spewed back. And it's not even sarcasm anymore. It's just being a dick. And so you look at people who are being a dick to others online, and you're like, bro, you get none of my sympathies. You get none of this. And so I say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a dream or a desire to do something, act on it. Because there's nobody out there that's going to stop you from doing it. There's nobody coming to save you. There's nobody coming to stop you. And the idea here is when you really push and create and do what it is that you need to do for you, the people who chirp you are an opportunity for you to repair or prepare your answer or refine what it is that you're saying if you choose to want to do it. But also remember, you don't have to engage everybody, and that the NPCs will chirp the loudest. There are people out there that aren't necessarily real people, and that's a whole other podcast, but we all know what NPCs are. And the further down these rabbit holes I go, the more I understand and realize that bots are in human form and they extend themselves online. They're very easy to spot online. They're now even easier to spot more and more in real time. But I used to be afraid, and isn't it funny how we're so afraid to say something? Those who think the most and those who think the strongest are so afraid to say something because it goes against the narrative. Remember trying to speak against COVID back in the day? Like literally every institution was out to get you. And it makes me laugh, but we sit here in a world where if you fly your flag, your inclusivity flag, it used to be a nice thing because, there was a time in history, and not too long ago, recently, where if you were gay, you were getting bullied, like mercilessly bullied for being gay. And now it's not like that anymore. Like gay, for the most part, if you're gay, and whatever, it's cool, right? I'm sort of floored. It's like, who cares what you do behind closed doors? Nobody asks me what I do behind closed doors. Like, it's like, I'm straight, I'm gay. Who cares? Who cares what you're doing with somebody that you care about? Who cares? That whole narrative being hijacked though has become absolutely absurd. Right? So it's gotten to the point where it's like all are welcome here. So we're waving these flags that are saying all are welcome here. And the funny thing about these flags, when I drive by one every single day, and to me the implication is, if this flag's not flying, if I'm not demonstrating to you that all are welcome here, that means at one point I believed that all weren't welcome here. Because the alternative to all are welcome here, which is pretty much par for the course, is that some aren't welcome here. Now, could you imagine turning away business? You know who is turning away business? The inclusivity crowd. Those who are righteous and those who are part of the community. These are the people that are turning people away. The very people that are preaching inclusivity are the ones pushing people away. They're creating division. By having an inclusivity tribe, it implies that some people aren't allowed into it. So the very institution that's creating inclusivity or attempting to create inclusivity is creating division. And that to me, it just blows me away. It's hilarious because when you remove yourself from that whole entire sect, it doesn't even matter. You're just like, whatever. There's a certain amount of people that are virtue signaling for other people. And there's like a whole group of people that is completely over all of it. And I think the majority and the masses are getting just fed up with all of it. We don't need to virtue signal ever. We don't need to wear our face masks. We don't need to tell people that everybody's inclusive. Bro, just live your life, right? Bottom line, don't be a dick. If you want to wear your mask because it makes you feel better, cool. If you want to fly your flag because it makes you feel better, cool. right? But then to attack other people or to say foolish things to other people for any other reason other than your, I didn't even know how to finish that sentence, but to say anything to anyone. Why? Where's the aggression have to come from? Now, this brings me to, we're 10 minutes into this. This brings me to my movie review. This massively controversial movie that's out there right now. What is it? Citizen Vengeance. The movie with Armie Hammer. It's wild. This movie was created. It seems like this movie was created to create division, to embrace division, because the powers that be created the movie, the very movie that we're talking about, and it's a really cool movie because the guy in the movie, the Vengeance Man, is attacking the court system, the system that fails people. It is attacking the people who are attempting to get away with crimes. It is attacking narratives. It is attacking bullies. It is attacking everyone. He drops a ton of truth knowledge, a ton of truth bombs inside the movie to every group of people who are inside the movie, from police officers to children who are trying to steal bus fare. And to me, yes, the movie is flawed and it's got all kinds of crazy holes. And it seems to me like this was just part one of maybe a 3 or 4 part series, because there's so much that they started on that they didn't finish on. And I think with a proper execution, maybe a bit of a better budget, they can step into it. And I think that they can create a message too, right? Because one of the messages was, I'm not going to get into too much details, but one of the messages, what you're going to hear a lot of people say is it's anti-immigration, or it's anti-Islam, or it's anti-this, or it's anti-that. And the truth of the matter is, was it Christy posted something as she was watching it. And she's like, oh, I hope people won't think this. I'm like, if people think that, then that's what's in them to think. And I don't want to get into it. I don't want to make any accusations or claims or anything about what anybody will say, think, or do. But I'll tell you this right now. You're going to watch that movie, and it's a phenomenal movie to watch because there's a lot of truth in it. And there's a lot of action. There's a lot of, for whatever reason, there's like splatter gore in there too. Like I didn't quite understand the need for that, but I thought it was funny. I thought that they added that in there, and I thought it was funny. I thought the movie was entertaining. It took us 4 hours to watch it because we were doing a million other things, but the premise in there was good. The punchiness of it was good. And the message was sound. Was it ultra violent? Yeah. Was it violent for any other reason? I don't know. But I look at this and I think to myself, I'm watching the world pick a fight with the world. And the powers that be that created the dissension, the powers that be that created the disillusion of society, are continuing to do so with this movie. And how do I put this? It looks on the surface, if you're a very third-dimensional person, it looks on the surface that people are doing things and that the news is reporting on what the people are doing. That's what society looks like. But the truth of the matter is, society works in the reverse, where the television, the media, the social media, the influencers, the powers that be have a way to get an idea into your head. And it's through the black mirror. It's through your cell phone. It's through the computer. It's through the television. We don't look at legacy media anymore, but the cool thing about legacy media is because it exists, the idea of social media being anything other than accidental, happenstantial is the trick. So it's like, well, I don't listen to the news, so I'm not influenced by the news. But the very same people who have been pushing the news and pushing the media are the people who are in charge of social media. They are the people who are in charge of what you see. It is not by accident what you see on social media. It is not by accident. Every single thing that you're looking at was curated towards you. I can attest to this. All of the things that I was doing back in the day, especially around the COVID era, we were getting blacklisted, wiped. It was so amazing how quick the quote-unquote censors or the fact checkers could do. Like, it was just absolutely dystopianly absurd what social media allowed itself to present. So if you were truly looking, and if you have, the ability to spot patterns, you saw it. You saw that it's all a scam. You saw that all of the creation that you think that you're doing and all of the stuff that you think that's happening was lucky. So you look around at all of these random people who at the beginning of TikTok, the DeMellos and the whoever else that looked to be TikTok famous, that looked like anybody could accidentally go viral on TikTok. You don't realize that they're all CIA plants. You don't realize that they're all, part of the letter agency, the alphabet agencies, designed to make you create certain things. So those very same people are the ones that put this movie out. They put the movie together, they allowed it to be released, and they put it down and then they said controversial things about it. And so now they've made it controversial by saying it's not allowed to be played in Germany, right? This is what we're getting in North America. This movie's been banned in Germany. Now, I don't know if any Germans are listening that want to attest to that. I have a few German friends, and I have a substantial German audience. Please, info at the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let me know if this movie, Citizen Vigilante, has been banned in your country. And so you see things, too, online, where it's like they make the movie, then they ban the movie, then they allow the movie on Twitter. And it looks like all of these moving parts, but it's really all just one simple system. It's a manipulation system. The whole thing's a ploy. It's an obvious ploy. Now, the movie itself, like I said, was entertaining, and there's a lot of truth into it. And so what did they want us to do? My takeaway from watching this movie was, it seems to me that they want to create the division. They want people to look at this movie. They want people to say, hey, yeah, maybe that's a thing. They want people to fight and say that it's racist. They want people to say that the movie's racist. Right? But if you say the movie's a racist movie, then you're pro-hate. And if you say the movie's not a racist movie, then you're pro-something else. Right? So the interesting thing about how they've delivered this movie is if you take a stance on it one way or the other, there's something for somebody to argue. And those who are arguing that this movie should be abolished and should be banned, it's entertaining to me because I don't know if you guys remember growing up in the 80s, I'm thinking about a movie called Red Dawn, how the Russians came in and they took over a small town and everybody fought back and yay, we're all heroes, right? But immigration is such a big deal and it's such a big problem in a lot of the world because a lot of people, I don't understand where the violence has to come from. I don't understand why we can't just, if you want to emigrate to this country, if you want to come from your country, then come. If you want to live here, then live here. But if you want to be violent, then there are consequences to your actions. If you want to be violent, there are consequences to your actions. And to say that there aren't is foolish. So in this movie, the consequences were dire, right? But it also goes to show how foolish the system is. The very system that we think is supposed to be protecting us is corrupt. And so it's not that the judges are corrupt and we should worry about the judicial system. It's that every single thing that you have ever been told about who and why and what and where you are, and that you're safe, and that if you just simply do this and smarten up and you'll be okay. Just play by the rules, just do as you're told, you'll be just fine. That's not actually accurate. That's not the thing. That is not the case. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. And I'll tell you this right now, if you're talking to the police in any way, shape, or form, it certainly feels these days that nobody is on your side, that these guys are simply out to get you. And the funny thing is those that want to speak about it are in trouble. And those that want to perpetrate the crimes keep getting away with the crimes. And this is real life. This isn't just the movies. So how is it that the criminals get away with stuff and those who are against the criminals getting away with stuff are getting in trouble for speaking against the criminals getting away with stuff? Right? We're finding ourselves, in my personal opinion, in a very, very interesting place and time in this society. Controversy is at an all-time high. Division is at an all-time high. There was a time back in the day that nobody batted an eye, where America had to fight Vietnam. So Americans woke up one morning, got on a plane, flew over to a different country, and started shooting that country's citizens. Now, people will say they weren't shooting their citizens. They were shooting their army. Well, that's not true. In Vietnam, it was a guerrilla army. It was the citizens. Imagine a country I live in Canada, so imagine America decides to attack Canada. Imagine I wake up one morning and there's an army man in my backyard with a gun pointed at me because I'm a bad guy simply because I woke up in Canada that morning. I personally have nothing to do with anything when it comes to war. I have nothing to do with anything. You know, what is war? War is old people figuring out a way for the younger people within the box in which they reside to attack other people. So the old people want the young people to die. So they use the young people to kill the young people. Right? And we talk about Civil War. We talk about the Civil War in America. Used to be the North versus the South because that's how information traveled. It was easy to divide the North and the South. You think the Civil War is over? Look around you. Right? Politics are a total sham. It's a total fake scenario. But somehow they've convinced a whole bunch of people that it's worth fighting over. So the Civil War is no longer North versus South. It's left versus right. Right? And who's really fighting this war? If you watch the media, it's literally just the liberal left. Just attacking, constantly bitching and moaning and firing all these shots and acting like a victim and all this stuff. Most conservatives I know just want to be left alone. But for me to say that, you're going to have a bunch of other people say, how dare you say that? You ignorant conservative person, here is a bunch of other facts that you're not taking into consideration. And what are those facts? Just some made up bullshit that some person heard in some way and decided that this is a defining factor of my personality and this is what I'm going to do. So what am I doing with this podcast, with this particular episode? All I'm doing with this particular episode is talking about how we're all being played. And if we stuck to ourselves, if we stuck to our own guns, and if we stuck to our own business, and if we operated with integrity, if every single human being on this planet operated with integrity, all of the problems would go away. The problems would still appear on television because they would still be talking about how fake everything is and how terrible everything is and how all this sort of stuff and blah, 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 blah. But if everybody operated with integrity, the problems would go away. Another thing too, if I say to you, operate with integrity, and then you reply back to me, well, this person's not going to operate with integrity, so why should I operate with integrity towards them? I'm going to tell you this. If I'm put in a situation where I have to be anything other than integral to myself, if I can't operate with the utmost integrity for myself, I will not engage with you. And so people will then say, well, if you don't engage with them, then they're just going to take from you. I'm like, that's already happening. Right? Compliance. They're taking from us with compliance. And even this episode right now, I've gone on too long. It sounds like I'm on one side or another. I am not. Do I lean in one direction? I lean in the direction of freedom. Am I conservative? Well, by definition, maybe I am. Or certainly, historically, I was. But now I don't believe in conservatives. I don't believe in Canada. I don't believe Pierre Poilievre is going to come save us. He's just another rube, right? I look at Mark Carney. This guy he's the devil. This guy's gross, but he's just a character playing a role. He's destroyed everything he's touched in the past, and now he's here to destroy Canada a little bit further, right? We're already destroyed, but at the same time, what's next? What comes from this? What's the problem? What's the end game? What's the hubbub, bub? Who cares? Right? If you don't like where you are, you're free to leave. You're free to go anywhere. And they say that you're not. You know, they say that you can't leave this, you can't leave that. And if you can't leave this and you can't leave that, then you're in a prison. And that's a bit weird. Right? And then we think about, especially in North America, we think about, well, I don't have enough money to go anywhere. Well, I'll tell you this right now. It costs you 100 times more to live in Canada than it does to live in a lot of other parts in the world. And then people will say, well, you've got all the amenities in the world in Canada. This is what you're paying for, is the top quality of life. It doesn't matter what you think, say, or do. There's always somebody who wants to run their mouths. The majority of the people who are sitting back and thinking for themselves and thinking to themselves and thinking, how do I make something more of this? How do I engage this? And if you're keeping to yourself, and if you're just chilling, if you're figuring it out, and if you voice any of this, there's some asshole that wants to shit on you. There's always going to be that asshole. Now, remember, in your life, you're like, I want to take things into consideration. I want to be considerate. I want to be nice. I want to be kind. I don't want to interfere with people. I don't want to step on toes. And then you voice something, and then somebody else attacks you. Remember, that person doesn't give a shit about your morals. They live and they validate themselves by their ability to say dumb shit to you online. Because they're all keyboard warriors. Anyone who wants to run their mouths without willing to have a conversation is an NPC. They don't have a brain in their head to think. They operate on rudimentary programming. You don't need to engage with rudimentary programming unless you want to, which is, again, full circle to where we started this podcast. And somehow, I don't know how I did it, but I've been rambling on now for 24 minutes. So I'm going to end it here. But I am going to say my movie review of Citizen Vigilante, it was an entertaining flick with some good comedy in it and some good messages in it. And if you want to get into the dramatic side and start picking internet fights with fucking people, then go right ahead. But there's a lot of truth in that movie. And remember, the very people who caused the chaos released this movie, showing you the chaos that they caused intentionally. So they want more division from this. The purpose of this movie being released, the way it was released, and with the fanfare that it's got, and with it being banned hither and yon, it's all intentional. And when you realize it's all intentional, you see things a little bit differently. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.